Previously on the Tortoise, the King's Daughter and Elephant as Bride Price, Part 1. The smart and cunning Tortoise wanted to marry the King's daughter and decided to use his friend the Elephant as his bride price. In order for that to happen, a hefty bride price was required by the King, and the Tortoise promised the King that he would bring him an elephant. The King had promised that whoever could bring a large animal like elephant to him alive would marry his daughter. As no animal could, the Tortoise persuaded his friend Elephant to accompany him to the King's Ofala festival, where he, Mr. Elephant, was to be the chairman of the event. Delighted, Elephant agreed. Unknown to him, he is the gift or bride price that will be given to the King for the marriage agreement. As the Tortoise was too slow, they mutually agreed that Elephant should carry him. Not to fall off, he opted for a rope tied around the neck of the elephant, and as they approached the venue, he descended and handed over the elephant to the King, and he was allowed to marry the King's daughter. It was at the ceremony the elephant found out he had been tricked by his friend, the Tortoise. He became angry and chased the Tortoise, marched on, and broke his shell. Stay tuned for part 2 of the story.
In the months following the dramatic wedding ceremony, Tortoise dedicated himself to earning the trust and forgiveness of the villagers and, more importantly, Elephant. The Tortoise's once gleaming shell now bore the scars of his betrayal, a constant reminder of the consequences of his actions. However, Tortoise was determined to prove that he was worthy of Princess Amara and his friend's forgiveness. One day, as Tortoise wandered through the forest, he overheard a group of animals talking about a great danger threatening their land. A fierce and powerful leopard had been terrorizing the neighboring villages, stealing livestock and harming anyone who crossed her path. Fear gripped the hearts of the villagers, and they desperately sought a solution. The king of Ndebele village had sleepless nights with his council of chiefs as they plotted how to neutralize the threat. Warriors were assembled from Ndebele and the 4 surrounding villages, with a mandate to enter the forest and wipe out the threat before it got to their villages. King Omanuko painted a very vivid picture of how the warriors should outpace, outnumber, and outsmart the lone rogue leopard, lay a trap for it and harry it into the trap to its ultimate destruction. Seeing an opportunity to redeem himself, Tortoise sought for audience and approached King Omanuko. "Your Majesty, I have heard of the troubles caused by the leopard. Allow me to devise a plan to rid our land of this menace and restore peace to the villages." King Omanuko regarded Tortoise thoughtfully. "Very well, Tortoise. If you succeed in this task, it will show your commitment to our kingdom and your willingness to make amends." But King Omanuko told him not to forget that warriors had been sent out to take care of the problem. So it was a race against time, as the life of the humans cannot be entrusted in the hands of a cunning tortoise alone. Tortoise nodded and left. Determined, Tortoise set off into the forest to devise a plan. He knew that brute strength from him or the warriors would not suffice against the leopard's ferocity. He needed to outsmart her. As he pondered his strategy, Tortoise encountered an old friend, a wise owl named Adissa. "Greetings, Adissa," Tortoise called out. "I seek your wisdom in dealing with a great threat to our village." Adissa perched on a low branch, her large eyes blinking thoughtfully. "What troubles you, Tortoise? Who do you want to con this time around?" "No, not me. The leopard has been terrorizing the villages," Tortoise explained. "I need a plan to stop her and restore peace." Adissa nodded. "The leopard is indeed formidable, but she is also proud and arrogant. Use her pride against her, and you will find a way to defeat her." Tortoise thanked the owl and made to walk away, but the owl added as an afterthought, "And when you finally succeed, the king will give you the princess to marry." "Do they know you?" While Tortoise looked on, trying to understand his words, the owl flew off. With Adissa's advice in mind, Tortoise formulated his plan. He gathered supplies and set off towards the area where the leopard was last seen. As he approached, he could hear the leopard's fearsome growls echoing through the forest. "Aqua!" Tortoise called out boldly. "I have come to challenge you to a contest of strength and wit. If you win, I will surrender myself to you. But if I win, you must leave our land and never return. Who knows my name? You dare to challenge me with your con art? I will eat you for dinner if you lose." Curious and amused by the tiny tortoise's challenge, Aqua sauntered over. "A contest, you say? Very well, little tortoise. I accept your challenge. What do you propose?" Tortoise smiled. "First, we will test our strength. I challenge you to a tug of war. If you can pull this vine from my grasp, you win." Aqua laughed, confident in her superior strength. She grabbed one end of the vine with her powerful jaws while Tortoise held onto the other end. Unbeknownst to Aqua, Tortoise had cleverly tied the other end of the vine to a sturdy tree hidden in the bushes. As Aqua pulled with all her might, she found herself struggling against an immovable force. Growing frustrated, Aqua released the vine. "You tricked me," she snarled. "What is your next challenge? Are you sent by the warriors to distract me?" "No cheating." The tortoise hurriedly shifted back and answered in the negative. "The next test is one of wit," Tortoise replied calmly. "I challenge you to a riddle. If you can solve it, you win." Aqua, eager to prove her intelligence, agreed. "Very well, ask your riddle." Kweku took a deep breath and recited the riddle. "I am not alive, yet I grow. I do not have eyes, yet I see. I am not human, yet I create. What am I?" Aqua pondered the riddle, her pride preventing her from admitting she was stumped. As she struggled to find an answer, Kweku patiently waited. Finally, in frustration, Aqua admitted defeat. "I do not know the answer," she growled. "The answer is a tree," Kweku revealed. "You have lost the challenge, Aqua. Now you must leave our land and never return." Furious but bound by her word, Aqua reluctantly agreed. "You have bested me, Tortoise. I will leave, but remember this. One day I will return." Not long after the leopard left, the village warriors arrive at where the tortoise is still sitting savoring his victory. He tells them what transpired, but they decide not to take chances, sending enough men out to scout the surrounding. The crow flies by and announces that Aqua the leopard was seen making his way towards the northern forest, towards the savannah, hopefully not to return. With Aqua's departure, peace was restored to the villages. Tortoise returned to the palace, where he was greeted with cheers and gratitude from the villagers. King Omenuko, impressed by Tortoise's bravery and cleverness, declared that he had proven himself worthy. "You have shown great courage and wit, Tortoise," the king proclaimed. "You have redeemed yourself and earned the trust of this kingdom. Your marriage to Princess Amara will proceed." The elephant, witnessing Tortoise's transformation and dedication, approached his friend. "You have proven yourself, Tortoise. I forgive you. Let us move forward as friends." Overwhelmed with gratitude, Tortoise embraced Elephant. "Thank you, my friend. I will never take our friendship for granted again." At the rescheduled wedding ceremony, Tortoise and Princess Amara are about to exchange vows, surrounded by the joyous villagers and their friends. The once cunning and deceitful Tortoise had learned the value of honesty and friendship, and he vowed to uphold these principles for the rest of his days. But before the vow takes place, something happens. One of the suitors from the neighboring villages had a reason why the two cannot be joined in an unholy matrimony. He introduced himself as Obi and spoke long, with much passion and honesty, asking not to be judged based on the fact that the princess didn't accept his hand in marriage, but the village of Ndebele and the palace deserved a better suitor for the beautiful princess than the scam. He said the tortoise had a dark past. He had once been a notorious trickster who used his cunning to deceive and exploit other animals. One such story involved a young and innocent rabbit who was swindled out of his family's precious heirloom by the tortoise's deceitful schemes. The rabbit's family was left devastated, and the heirloom was never recovered. Next was the recent disappearance of the wise owl. It was uncovered that the tortoise was responsible for the mysterious disappearance of the kingdom's wise owl, who was a close advisor to the king. The owl had discovered the tortoise's devious plans and intended to expose him. To silence the owl, the tortoise tricked him into a trap and imprisoned him in a hidden cave, never to be seen again. He talked about the poisoned well. Ndebele Kingdom's main water source had once been poisoned, leading to widespread illness among the villagers and animals. It was later revealed that the tortoise had poisoned the well to weaken the kingdom and manipulate its inhabitants into following his deceitful schemes. Who stole the heirlooms? The tortoise had been involved in the theft of precious heirlooms from several noble families. These heirlooms were not only valuable but also held sentimental importance. The tortoise had stolen them and sold them to distant lands, leaving the families heartbroken and destitute. Who betrayed the lion? The tortoise had once formed an alliance with the lion, promising to help him in a time of need. However, when the lion faced a threat from a neighboring kingdom, the tortoise betrayed him, leading to the lion's defeat and capture. The tortoise had done this to curry favor with the rival kingdom, hoping to secure more power for himself. Then there was the case of the orphaned cubs. In his quest for power, the tortoise had tricked a mother tiger into leaving her cubs unattended by luring her with false promises of food. When the mother tiger returned, she found her cubs had been taken by the tortoise and sold to a circus in a far-off land. The mother tiger's grief was immeasurable, and the kingdom mourned with her. When these heinous acts came to light, the king was furious and declared that such a vile and treacherous creature could never be allowed to marry his daughter. The princess, horrified by the tortoise's actions, supported her father's decision wholeheartedly. Some elders whispered to the king to not be hasty in passing judgment, but to let the village hear Tortoise's side of the story. Tortoise swore on his mother's grave that it was all lies, a plan by evil ones to stain his name. A mysterious figure emerged from the crowd, a character from the Sahara Desert area. He was known as the Nomadic Cameraman, a traveler with a magic camera that could reveal the deepest secrets of anyone captured in its lens. Stories of his powerful device had spread far and wide, and it was said that the camera had the ability to unveil truths that even the most cunning creatures could not hide. He requested a private audience with the king. The king, intrigued by the tales of the magic camera, agreed to meet him. The cameraman explained that his camera had led him to the kingdom to expose a great deceit. He offered to use his magic camera to take a picture of the tortoise and reveal his true nature. The king, eager to uncover the truth about the tortoise, agreed. The tortoise, though nervous, tried to maintain his composure, believing that his secrets were well hidden. The nomadic camera, whose real name was Dan Baɗaare, meaning son of a seer in Fulani, set up his equipment. As the cameraman raised his camera, a strange light began to emanate from it. He took a single photograph of the tortoise, and as the image developed, the entire court gasped in horror. The magic picture revealed a series of dark and evil deeds committed by the tortoise. The disappearance of the wise owl. The image showed the tortoise trapping the kingdom's wise owl in a hidden cave, silencing him forever to prevent him from exposing the tortoise's plans. The poisoned well. The picture displayed the tortoise pouring a vial of poison into the kingdom's main water source, causing widespread illness and suffering. The stolen heirlooms. The photograph depicted the tortoise sneaking into noble families' homes and stealing their precious heirlooms, leaving them devastated. The betrayal of the lion. The image revealed the tortoise betraying the lion to a rival kingdom, resulting in the lion's defeat and capture. The orphaned cubs. The picture showed the tortoise luring a mother tiger away from her cubs, then taking the cubs and selling them to a distant circus. The court was in an uproar as the king and his advisors looked at the damning evidence. The king, filled with rage, declared that the tortoise was unworthy of marrying his daughter. The princess, in tears, denounced the tortoise and agreed with her father's decision. The tortoise is made to return everything he has stolen from others deceitfully, including the return of the wise owl, the heirlooms, and the young tiger cub. The king decreed that the tortoise be stripped of all his titles and privileges and banished from the kingdom. He was also condemned to live in exile. His once cunning and deceitful ways had brought him nothing but disgrace and ruin. The Nomadic Cameraman's magic camera had revealed the tortoise's true nature, and justice was served. The elephant, having heard of the tortoise's downfall, felt a sense of justice but remained saddened by the betrayal of his former friend. In a twist of fate, Obi the angry suitor married Princess Amara and they lived happily ever after. The story of the tortoise became a legendary cautionary tale, reminding all that deceit and treachery would always be exposed and punished, no matter how well hidden. The Nomadic Cameraman continued his travels, his magic camera ready to uncover the next hidden truth. This video is still dedicated to the Nigerian legendary folklore musician, Gentleman Mike Ejiga and his trio, the creator of the hit song Nyeghi, an Igbo folktale about how the Mr. Elephant, the chairman, was sold, and also to Brain Jotter, who turned it into a viral dance sit. Did we tell you that the tortoise and leopard planned the threat against the villages together? Get ready for the spin-off story of Kaito, the eye of the gods and his magic camera, and his adventures to save Africa from villains, evil men and politicians out to impoverish the continent.